The women who stepped forward to accuse former Mayor Bob Filner of unwanted sexual advances stepped into a harsh media spotlight. They were targets of a hungry media, anxious for every salacious detail. They were targets in other ways as well, with people accusing them of ulterior motives, self-aggrandizement, greed, or certain political leanings. The implication was clear. They were selling their stories in the marketplace of a media frenzy. Let's start with the day Filner resigned, at a city council meeting where Filner backers spoke up for him.
¿Quién les pagó? ¿Por qué lo hacen hasta ahorita?
If we know that the laws are very delicate for sexual harassment, why did they wait so long? Who paid them off? Why did they make these accusations now?
I was brought up to be a strong woman and to immediately put a man in check if he was getting out of hand, not to wait and jump on a political bandwagon.
Here's Filner accuser Peggy Shannon responding to those critics.
I made a conscious decision not to talk. I just wanted to sit back here and listen. They've heard me. They've seen what I had to say. So I didn't want to be perfectly honest, I didn't want to be booed.
Laura Fink did speak at that meeting.
This call has been universal among the victims of his reprehensible acts.
I asked her and Peggy Shannon and Morgan Rose, women who had all gone public, why they didn't come forward sooner. And I wanted to find out what actually happened after they did.
Why women don't come forward is because they understand the disparity in power. I think they also believe that they'll be dismissed, that their character will be attacked, or that they won't be believed, and all of those things happen to me.
You can be very vulnerable to crucifixion and character assassination by people who have never, ever spent a minute with you. And so that happened, and that's okay. That's not the important part.
There were reporters yelling into my apartment, yelling my name, bothering my neighbors, banging on the door. It was frightening. I just didn't realize how intense the coverage was going to be and how immediately.
One of the main reasons I didn't come forward when this happened in 2009, he was a congressman. He already had my home phone number. He'd called me at home. He'd requested that private meeting. He could get my social security number, my home address, my place of work. So no, I was not going to come forward at that point.
We look at this situation and there's strength in numbers. I imagine what it would be like if I was the only one coming out. And people ask these questions, why didn't you come out sooner? Why didn't you come out during the campaign? You as an individual, as a person, have to do a calculus as to whether your coming forward will be effective and impactful and believed. And in those situations, I feel that I probably would have been really eviscerated and my motives would have been questioned far more than they were in this situation.
Any woman in this position, in this kind of drama, we're in a lose-lose situation often. But with us all coming forward, that theme, that pattern became so evident that people that might not have believed our stories initially or thought it was for political reasons had to start admitting, no, maybe we have something here.
You lose a part of yourself because you have to be so serious. I mean, I traffic in gallows humor, and I'm, a little bit nutty, and I'm slightly sarcastic, and I actually enjoy talking about, you have one side of you that is constantly sort of shown, and it would be inappropriate to laugh or smile during these things, but it's a part of you that you're not you don't get to exhibit.
I didn't ever want something like this to become part of my story, but by coming out, it's now my story. It's a part of my life. So there was that sacrifice I made, but I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't recant anything I said. The more we speak out, the more power we have.
The response of women coming forward and telling me their stories was almost universal. Reporters, people in public, people who I didn't know, people who I did know, all told me stories of sexual harassment. It was frightening how pervasive this behavior is across the board. And so this wasn't just because you can abuse power when you have less of it. And it took me aback, because I thought, is this the world that we're leaving to our daughters, where sexual harassment is a rite of passage, where it's rare if it doesn't happen to you? And it's just extraordinarily upsetting. So, we hope we can change that.
The women who came forward say it isn't even so much about them. It's about the women who couldn't come forward. And they say it isn't even about Bob Filner. It's about a culture of sexual harassment that permeates every sector of our society, a culture that can only be stopped by women speaking out. Speaking out can carry a heavy price, but these women say that not speaking costs a lot more. Sandhya Dirks, KPBS News.